Welcome back to another PGMMV tutorial. Today I'm going to be talking about how to centralize your volume levels for when you're using the runtime action audio playback. And you won't have to do it for every audio that you use, but there's going to be some cases where you're going to want to use this as a practice. And so with that said, let's get started. All right, so first I want to talk about what the actual issue is and why you would want to scale a project like this. All right, so this is a game jam that I made called Boomers Ate My World. And we can go into my audio or the resources and the sound effects here. We can see that I have a specific sound effect, select one, and I use it between a lot of objects. You can see that this is where you can see where you're using it. So normally, just by default, you do have access to know where you're using it. But you can see that this is a lot of, and we don't have to focus on these scenes right here. We only have to focus on the ones that start with objects, because that means that it's in the objects tab. But you can see that as we scroll up here, that's a lot of times that this sound effect is used. And we can see that they're all in audio playbacks, meaning that if I wanted to adjust this volume right here for it, it would not adjust it because they're in audio playbacks. And so if we click on one, we can right click and move to it. And we can see where I'm using it. So right here, I'm using it in the audio playback, and you can see I have the volume set to 50. So you can see that if we go back to resources, it's set to 100 by default, but in the audio playback, I set it to 50 because it was either too loud naturally or something like this. Now, this is fine and all, but let's just say that for some reason, I wanted to increase the volume. People were telling me it was not loud enough, and so I wanted to increase the volume. Well, I would have to increase this one's volume. Then I would have to go back, and I would have to we'll start at the top here, go back to move, and find this one. Now, this object, I could have just looked around, but you see how many objects that this sound effect is in. That's a lot of work. I'm going to be right-clicking and changing all those specific audio playback runtime actions, okay? So then I'd have to come in here and 75 and hit OK, and then I would have to do this for every single one. So there is a better way, and it's with scripting, and it's going to be used for sound effects that you know are going to be spread out a lot. So this kind of like select little click thing is a very good example, because you'll be using that between your menus, between maybe your dialogue inputs and stuff like this. So let's go into how we can set this up to be more scalable and a one-time change to change all of them across the board. So we'll need a couple things. First thing will be the Scripting Made Easy guide, and then you'll need an editor, text editor of your choice. So I'm going to go here and create a new file, and then I'm going to Control A. This is the power template that I got from this site here. You can just go down here, script templates, and go down here, and you can just copy this power template, and it will be the exact same thing of what I'm doing. I just have it saved on my system already. So Control A, copy, go to the new one, and paste it. All right, so now we got the power template. Now we can do some more, we just have access to some easy functions basically down here. And so the next thing that we need is we need the audio playback runtime action. So I'm going to hit Control F on the guide, and I'm going to say audio playback, and there we go. It loaded up right there. So here is the actual runtime action. I'm going to populate that right here. Actually, I'm going to Control Z, get rid of that. We don't need the wrapper because we already have the wrapper. So all we need is just what I usually call the guts. And so that's all we're going to copy here. All right, and it kind of comes out of order just because the way Steam sets things up. So I just highlight what I need to indent, and you can just hit tab and it will just send them in. If you ever needed to go backwards, you can hit Shift tab and it will do them in case you didn't know. All right, and so what we could do is we can grab the self here, like I usually do in my videos, and get self. But really all that does is return this. And since we're only actually using this to one time, we don't really need to do any of that. So I'll just leave it as it is. So now we have the args, and then we have the command sound play. And so all we got to do is set up the sound. So the easiest way to do this is to go to plugins, show log, and then go to object. And then when you're ready to double click in here, you can clear the log and then you can double click in it. And then this gives you exactly the arguments that you need. So then we can go back in here and we can replace the arguments. We might have to indent those again. And then the last thing that we need is we have a volume here. So this volume is the one that we want to be able to adjust globally, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the editor. We actually can get rid of this now. And we're going to go to a global variable here. And this is going to be the sound effect of volume. And the naming isn't going to be so important. You'll have a name. So this is going to be sound effect volume for the select one resource here. And maybe this would be better if we said volume for the sound effect select one. And I just want to verify that's what I named it. Yep, select one. So basically I'm saying that this is going to be the global volume for the sound effect select one. And we're going to set this to 75. And then I always do a default 75. All right, so then the last thing that we need to do is we need to grab that common variable. So we'll say sound effect volume equals get common variable, and then we just need the name. So we're going to grab it's the vol sfx select one, and this is going to be the global volume level. And then all that we have to do is we take the sound effects volume and we replace it in the volume. With this setup right here, all we got to do is copy and paste it in. And I'll just skip this for now. But we'll go to a execute script, paste it in. And now this one is ready to go. And then we can just copy this. And I could let's see here, audio select right here, paste it and put it right here. And then this one would be audio select, go like this, and then skip that. I'd delete these eventually if I was doing this, in a real project. And yeah, so then I would replace this in all of them. Now, this might not be a good solution for you if you are way down the rabbit hole in your project. This is something to know just for when you're starting projects. Hey, I have this sound, I'm not quite convinced on the level yet, and so I want to have it easily changeable. So you'd set them up in scripts. And now, instead of ever having to come back in here and change the volume, all you would have to do is go to here, and under this one, you would change the volume to say, you know what, I want this at 100% now. I want to add 100% volume. And you could even make a note saying 0 to 100. So that you know that there's a range of volume levels, right? So 0 to 100, and I'm pretty sure it mins and maxes, it caps it for you, but just to be clear. And then this will change all those levels. So now this would sound the same, this would sound the same, this would sound the same. And all you had to do was change that one volume common variable. Now I'm not going to test play and show this. This is just one way that you can scale your project a little easier. Now, one thing I do want to mention is, if you're making a short script like this, you really don't need all this other stuff. So you could, if you wanted, you could just delete everything that we're not using, which is a lot of it. So we could just go all the way down here and delete all of that and delete even this one. And literally that could be our script right there. So I could Control A and actually, on the first round, set it up just like this. All right, so that might help. I've made other videos where I kind of show some other ways that you can do volume controls, as far as like, instead of executing a script or running an audio playback, you summon an object that runs the audio playback, and then you only have that one object to go back to change the volume and stuff. The only problem with that is that even the generating of that object is like a 1 or 2 frame delay, so that audio might sound delayed. So sometimes if you're needing audio specifically like on time, then but yet you want the volumes to be scalable between all of them so that you don't have to go back and change them all, then this would be a way to do it. So anyway, I hope this helps. We'll see you at the next video.